I just did a video a couple weeks ago talking about the Jaguars firing Peterson, but not Trent Baalke, and wondering, like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, they are just an absolute shit show. Now, firing Doug Peterson is one thing. Like, he had 3 years at the helm, and this season, let's be clear, was a disaster. You could blame injuries to Trevor Lawrence, etc., but really, really bad, and the team just face-planted at times and looked like they didn't care, weren't bought in. That's one thing. But you don't fire the general manager and Trent Baalke that hired the head coach that you just fired. And oh, by the way, the same Trent Baalke, that same snake in the grass, that hired fellow snake in the grass, Urban Meyer, that was so bad he didn't even make it through one season with the Jags that you can say, well, that was because of off the field shit. It doesn't matter the reason that Urban Meyer was sent packing before the end of his first season. He was sent packing before the end of his first season. Like, the Jags are such a shit show, man. I mean, he had 2 head coaching hires. They sucked. And you were going to give him a 3rd? But then in this awkward-ass joint Zoom interview where you've got team owner Shad Khan and Trent Baalke sitting there, Khan's asked about, well, what happens if a head coaching candidate wants Trent Baalke gone and wants their own general manager? Khan sits there as Trent Baalke is sitting there and says he would fire Baalke if a head coach wanted a different general manager. Not only just the awkwardness of fucking talking about firing the guy that you haven't fired yet, but you'd be willing to do it if a head coaching candidate wanted you to. Doesn't that make you think at some point, like, ding dong, dumb dick? He's not the fucking guy for the job, and if that is even a consideration, that speaks volumes. But no, we're talking about Duval football. So, of course, that's what the fuck they would do. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and now the Jacksonville Jaguars have indeed fired snake in the grass general manager Trent Baalke. I mean, eventually the mongoose gets the snake, but goddamn. You were having him involved in the head coaching search, now to just fire him? I mean, this is such a dumpster fire, such a hot mess. You'd swear his son Tony Khan was booking this shit. And for those that know how fucking on the mark that comment is right there. You go into this offseason, this head coaching search with a general manager that you say you're willing to fire, but you don't fire him, but then you fire him. Like, what the fuck? And you're like, okay, how could this get worse? Well, then you've got the that's went down with Liam Coen. And the Jacksonville Jaguars have hired him to be their next head coach. And on the surface, this seems like a hire that looks good, checks a lot of boxes. He had a great season as the offensive coordinator for the Bucs. You know, he was a guy that spent a year in college as a coordinator, I think, in Kentucky, was part of Sean McVay's staff, where he was the offensive coordinator, but obviously not a play caller. He was a highly sought-out candidate this cycle. He's only 39 years old, and he's from that Sean McVay coaching tree. Liam Coen checks a lot of boxes. So just on the surface there, without anything else, without the Trent Baalke shit and all the other shit, if I told you going into this offseason that the Jags were going to hire Liam Coen to be their head coach, you'd be like, okay, that's a pretty sensible, pretty solid hire. And it is. Except now, with the saga that played out over the past couple of days, it seems like the Jaguars fired one snake in the grass to hire another one. What the fuck? So, I'm sure I'm going to share some elements of this story here, and I think I'll link the Albert Breer Sports Illustrated article that does a pretty good job of recapping this whole timeline. I'll do my best here. But apparently the Jags wanted Liam Coen. He was interested, but he didn't want to work with Trent Baalke. Early reports is that maybe Ben Johnson was top on Jacksonville's list, but Ben Johnson wanted no part of Trent Baalke. Again, should tell you, why would you keep him as general manager when these coaching candidates don't want to fucking work with him? And why would you potentially then fire him to have to bring in a general manager that wasn't a part of the head coaching hire? Just shit doesn't work this way, and it doesn't make fucking sense. But what happens is after Liam Coen goes through his first interview, He agrees in principle with the Bucs to become the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL by the Buccaneers by a good margin, somewhere between like $5 to $6 million a year. Not exactly chump change for a coordinator, that's all I'm saying. But strangely enough, the Bucs put in a condition in that contract that was contingent upon him not taking a second interview with Jacksonville. Really, really weird stipulation. And at some point in time along the way, the Jags reached out and said, well, we want to be your sugar daddy, baby. And don't sign with them. Well, we're not done yet. And all the while, the Jags, realizing that Liam Coen could be a thing for them as their head coach, they've got to rush to do a farce second interview in person with Patrick Graham in order to satisfy the Rooney Rule, just so that way they could turn around and hire Liam Coen, and he gets like 60 plus million guaranteed from the Jags, and he accepts. Has Liam Coen in the fold as their next head coach. And the reality is for all of this is everybody looks like dog shit here. I've seen a lot of takes on social media over the past few days and different people talking about, well, I don't blame Liam Coen, I blame the Buccaneers, or how could Liam Coen do this to the Buccaneers? Everybody looks like dog shit here. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a binary yes or no or one or the other. It could be everyone. The Buccaneers look like naive fucking morons in this whole deal. According to Albert Breer and others reporting, it was the Glazer family that told Liam Coen to go interview with Jacksonville in the first place so that way he could get the experience. Instead of hurrying up to get the fucking deal done, they basically set in motion the wheels that would lead to him leaving town. And then they try to lock him in, yet they don't. And it's one of those things, you got to understand your negotiating position. You've got to understand where you're at. You can't let Liam Coen leave without signing on the line that is fucking dotted. So all these people trying to make the Buccaneers seem like victims. They're victims of their own stupidity and incompetence. Why in the fuck would the Glazer family tell him to go interview with another team? That's stupid. Why would general manager Jason Light let him leave without signing on the line that is dotted? That's stupid. That makes no fucking sense. And then you've got Liam Coen. Like, sure, he did what's best for him. I'm not going to fault him for going and taking a job instead of he paid $5 or $6 million a year to get paid like Ben Johnson money, maybe somewhere in the 13 to 14 million a year range. Like, why the fuck would he not do that? And especially when you think about, you never know what can happen next. Last year, Bobby Slowick was a pretty hot coaching candidate. He decided to come back to the Houston Texans as their offensive coordinator in 2024, and now he just got fired as said head offensive coordinator of the Houston Texans. When the opportunity presents itself, you must pounce. And especially when you talk about a head coaching job in the NFL, there's only 32 of these motherfucking opportunities. Even the shit ones are still massive, rare, generational type of opportunities. I mean, really, right? Only a few of these jobs come up every year. When you get a chance, you got to take it. But the whole thing with Liam Coen saying all that is just be transparent instead of trying to be sneaky shit about it. Say, I'm not going to sign this deal yet. And if I lose it, so be it. I got to interview with the fucking Jaguars. Now, I can sit there and say, well, the Buccaneers put him in a fucking spot where he felt like he had to lie. Yes. But also be a fucking man about it. And if you're that confident in yourself and you believe in yourself that much, like if you go and interview with the Jags and that shit doesn't work out, you don't think somebody like Houston or somebody else isn't going to come in and pay the fucking moon for a Liam Coen after his work with Baker Mayfield and that Bucs offense in 24? You're out of your fucking mind. But to sit there and act like he had a family matter, the family matter was that he was fucking negotiating with the Jaguars. Give me a fucking break here. And as much shit as I was giving the Bears earlier for saying, you're not even going to bring him in for an interview? You know what? Now I get why the Bears didn't bring this son of a bitch in for an interview. Because he's got some real snake in the grass fucking vibes and he has accelerated his career trajectory in like 4 years, going from like a quarterback coach, like fucking insane here. But he looks like dog shit. One of the most important traits that a great leader can have is trustworthiness. And how could anybody in that Jags organization think Liam Coen, who pulled some form of a Bobby Petrino here, let's be clear, could be trustworthy? I don't know, man. But yeah, it's a bad look for him too. You could sit there and acknowledge like he had to take this opportunity. I agree. But there is a way that you approach it, independent of the whole like, well, the Buccaneers could just fire him. But if he was still under contract, they would still have to pay him unless they fired him for cause, right? Like, it's not the same. Stop making false equivalencies. Yeah, he absolutely had to take the job. The Buccaneers are fucking stupid for putting him in this spot. But just because they put him in this spot doesn't mean that Liam Coen needed to act the way that he did. But that's not all. The Jags and the NFL look like shit too. It's another example of a team in this coaching cycle that manipulates their way around the Rooney Rule to make it an epic farce. And you look at the NFL and you say, instead of all the focus on the conference championship round, this is the story. That's stupid. So you got Jacksonville knowing that hot coaching candidates probably don't want to work with your general manager, refusing to fire their general manager, Trent Baalke, until they fire their general manager, Trent Baalke. That looks fucking stupid. Then the way they manipulated the Rooney Rule, treated shit in this process, shame on fucking them. Shame on the NFL for creating an environment where this is even fucking a thing. Allowing interviews and hiring to happen during the playoffs, like you technically still have a season going on. Why can't you wait until all of this shit is done? Like maybe some preliminary screening conversations and so forth, but why is this a thing? Why not have it be like a hot period after the Super Bowl and let the focus all entirely be on the playoffs where it fucking should be? You create these types of dynamics where it takes away from what's supposed to be the most important part of your season. And then you got the Jags hiring the coach that will help hire the general manager, not the other way around like it should be, like it normally would be. Like, this is just fucking dumb on so many different levels. You spin it however you want. But the Jaguars look stupid here. Liam Coen looks stupid here. The Buccaneers look like dorks here. Victims my ass. They're victims of their own stupidity, if anything. And the NFL looks like dog shit for creating an environment where this type of crap can happen. Good luck, Jacksonville. Good luck, Liam Coen. Good luck. What a fucking shit show.